Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to Level 33, a weekly podcast with the 33 illustrators that contributed artwork for the book Eclipse of the Mourning Star. I am the author and your host, Robert Eujean Ogden. Eclipse of the Mourning Star is available at all bookstores online, as well as the book's website at eclipseofthemorningstar.com, or abbreviated EOTMS.com. Our guest for this episode is the artist who created the artwork for Chapter 1, The Beginning of the End. Cedric Hunter is an illustrator, lyricist, and devoted father, hailing from South Carolina. He is also the published author of the sci-fi novella, Year Minus. Cedric and I met at the Savannah College of Art and Design, and as they say in the South, it's been a minute since we've talked in person. So we're going to reconnect with him today, right here on Level 33. What's up, Ced?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. I mean, well, I was going to be honest about that. It's been a day. You ever have those?
Yeah.
This whole week has been like nothing working out. Like every little single thing is intentionally trying to mess me up.
That mean you close.
It's a good outlook. Somebody once said, the closer you get to the finish line, the louder the voices become.
Yep.
Same philosophy.
Yep.
So, my friend, I wanted to talk about your artwork for the book, but first I want to talk about your book, Year Minus.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Man, I love your style of writing. It kind of like really drops you right into the story, which the story is wild. I was so proud and inspired by you when you announced the release of that book. I went out and bought it and told everybody I know.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
For those that don't know, Year Minus is a biblically inspired story, but you place a wild twist on it.
Yeah. So, I watch a lot of anime.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like an anime twist on the Bible,
Nice.
I think everybody's going to recognize the story once they start reading it,
Anybody who has experience with the Bible is going to really love that book as it pulls from those inspirations, and your characters go through a similar construct, but one that you've created yourself, a whole world.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of anime, what are you on right now?
Of course, everybody's on One Piece. Fire Force, Demon Slayer.
Ooh, Demon Slayer.
Dragon Ball. Yeah. A little bit of everything. Chainsaw Man.
I'll have to check that one out. I haven't seen Chainsaw Man.
I like some of the food animes, Food Wars and Delicious in Dungeon. So I like a little bit of everything. The world building is really what I like. Character design, I like that.
Yeah, beautiful, amazing worlds in anime. Yeah, I'm attracted to that too.
Oh yeah.
I recently started rewatching Blue-Eyed Samurai. Have you seen this one?
I haven't, but I've heard good things.
The artwork is really beautiful. The story's cool. So, when you were young, were you into comic books?
Oh yeah, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman.
Nice. Yeah, I just took my son to the local comic book shop here. He's one. I got him his first comic book, which was Batman. Hush.
Awesome. Yeah, you got to start him out young.
Got to start him young. I also threw in a Marvel What If for the more age-appropriate issue, which is what if Donald Duck was Iron Man.
Nice. Okay. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
You got to feed the imagination.
Absolutely. So you kind of got into comic books when you were young.
Yep.
And you were a stellar artist at the Savannah College of Art and Design.
Thank you.
So when you went to SCAD, were you studying illustration?
Yeah, so I started out, I wanted to be a fashion designer. That was my original goal is, I was in the clothes and...
Yep, always looking fresh.
Appreciate it, man. Seeing everybody else's art, and then it just kind of changed my perspective on what I could do, So I did eventually change my major to illustration. It was just, financially, I couldn't stay, that's pretty much all it was. I wish I would have, but
I feel like those foundations are really laid out in the core classes anyway, especially in today's day and age, as you can see from your artwork where you're at.
Yeah, you got different avenues now. You got digital art, and you got a lot of media, online media, and content creators that you didn't have.
All the YouTube tutorials that turned out to be a lot more informative than my classes.
Yep.
But that's kind of the dangerous thing about a school like SCAD, all of the different departments. I started off as graphic design, took my first film class, and fell in love with filmmaking.
Yeah.
Then I walked past the sculpture building and was like, I think I want to do sculpture. And then I walked past the furniture building and was like, I think I want to do furniture.
I can do that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't, it's hard to limit, human experience. if you feel like you can do it, you can. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why it was so rad to see you come up with this book. The cover design is beautiful.
Thank you.
Actually, I was looking at it next to mine, and I'm like, yeah, our books look good on the shelf next to each other.
That's right.
A similar feel to the covers. So what inspired you to write the book?
That's a good question. Originally, I was bored. I felt like I had a lot of creativity pent up. I wasn't really drawing. So, I had a lot of free time at work.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a desk job where I was kind of just sitting, out of 8 hours, we might sit 5.5 hours a day,
Okay.
So it kind of snowballed. I started out, with the idea, and eventually it just kind of wrote itself, pretty much.
Right. As it does when you're in the flow.
Yeah. And it took me a while, and it's still not kind of where I want it. So I've been thinking about doing like maybe a rewrite.
Okay.
But I just felt like it needed to be done. It took me about almost a year.
Where is volume 2? Are you thinking about a sequel?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So originally I wanted it to be a trilogy.
Okay.
So it's definitely more coming.
Awesome. Yeah, readers would be excited for that.
Yeah, my coworkers, they thought I was writing like a termination letter, resignation letter. They thought I was writing like obituary. They was like, man, what is he doing?
It's really getting into this.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep it close. I didn't really want to put it out there.
Yeah, I definitely know.
They were all concerned about what I was writing, so intently.
I bet. I'm thinking, oh man, we're gonna hear it someday. He's gonna send a company wide email, and we're all gonna hear it.
Right, and then too, when you kind of tell people that you writing a book, you get this like, yeah, right. Sometimes I'm like, oh really? You writing a book? So I didn't really want to tell anybody until I was sure that it was coming.
I do know. I think that's one of the. If I'm looking back, the next time I do it, that will be a secret that I keep longer. That I kept the secret for a long time, kind of teased it here and there. But there's so much power in keeping your plans secret. Nobody else knows. Nobody can penetrate that bubble. Tell me about the production of the book. When you were done, what did you do with it?
So I worked with a Christian publishing company, and it was kind of like a little 1-year deal,
Okay.
They put it in stores. They gave me like QR codes where people could buy it. They didn't really promote it too much. That was extra, to have it promoted. So I told them I just needed.
It's hella extra.
Yes. So I said, pretty much, I just need y'all to give me a place where people can go and buy it online. So they did that for about 10 months to a year. And then the contract can be renewed. So I just chose not to renew it so I can maybe go more the route that you did,
Okay. So next one, are you going to put some of your artwork in it?
Yes. Yes. I wanted to this time, but it was going to be more time consuming and probably cost a little more. So yeah, I got a lot of ideas for the next, the rewrite and the next 2 installments.
Yeah, man, get cracking on that. So, man, I was thinking when we were about to talk about those Savannah days, and I have this vivid memory of you. Oh yeah, for those readers of Eclipse of the Mourning Star, Cedric is mentioned in the book as well, along with the D-Boys there. Shout out to the D-Boys.
Yes.
I just have this vivid memory of you and Oscar just freestyling and bouncing back and forth, beatboxing through the squares wherever we were at.
Yep.
And, all kinds of cool shit happened while we were in Savannah.
It really did.
It did. We were there at a really cool time for music, too, because the South was kind of popping off in the rap game, I remember. And Outkast would there's one day when Big Boy was in one of the squares. And everybody got text messages and was like, hey, Big Boy's downtown. Come check this out. Sure enough, there's a crowd around them, and he's kind of flowing there with his crew. And I just remember thinking, Ced and Oscar are on this level, like they
thank you.
do the same shit. I kind of made the joke in the book because Oscar was a hella good beatboxer.
Yes.
He could throw it down. And then Noah and I would try to kind of mimic that. And just to give people a picture, when Ced and Oscar were beatboxing and freestyling in the street, we could be just on a, Saturday afternoon standing somewhere, a crowd would draw and people were listening and kind of bobbing their head. And then Noah and I would go to a party and try to pull it off, and everybody leave the room.
This was before 8 Mile.
Yeah, tougher white guy.
Yeah.
So, you ever have any time to mess with music these days?
I don't really anymore, but in 2006, me and a buddy of mine put out a little CD,
Nice.
about 12, 14 songs.
Okay.
That just we handed out locally.
I want to get my hands on that. Do you have the digital files?
Yeah.
Send that through for sure. I want to hear that.
I will.
Yeah, Savannah, man, it was a wild time. Did you ever go to St. Patrick's Day?
I did. I went twice after that. Like I went in like 2000, and then I might have went in like 99 and 2000.
Okay. Yeah, I think I went in 98, the first year we were there. And for those who have been there, for those who haven't heard of Savannah's St. Patrick's Day celebration, it is insane.
They get wild. Yeah.
Just thousands and thousands of super lit, drunk people running around, starting shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't even know how they get away with that, man. But it was chaos, and I was working in kitchens at the time, so it was just like nonstop cooking, around the clock, and it was a crazy time. It's worth doing once. I'll say that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You need to do it at least once.
You got to do it once, and then, I think the next 4 years I was there, I got out of town. Cool, man. Yeah. So, kind of leading in from your illustration background, let's talk about your piece for Eclipse of the Mourning Star. So, I knew I wanted to use you as chapter 1. I don't know what it was. There's a feeling. I was like, Cedric is going to handle this chapter and nail it.
Well, thank you.
I knew your comic book background, and I knew that you could handle just out of the blue work like that. So what was it like kind of just getting a call out of the blue to do some art?
Man, it's a privilege. I want to thank you, actually for thinking of me. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that, I come across your radar to even do that.
Yeah, for sure, man.
When you sent me the chapter, I read it, and I did not know that you went through all that. Like, mm-hmm. I'm sorry that you had to go through all that. I know,
Thanks,
life happens kind of to us, and
yes,
a lot of stuff we can't really control. So just from reading, that's kind of what it made me feel like.
For sure. Yeah, that was an unexpected thing about releasing the book. Like when I'm writing, I think I'm thinking about the reader, but that reader doesn't really have a face, And so immediately I got all of these beautiful messages from friends. I was like, wow, I didn't know you're going through that. And what's funny is I was like, oh, really? Because I thought I was wearing it on my sleeve. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A lot of times we learn to carry trauma. We carry it well, so, people don't realize. But you got to be careful because people are carrying all kinds of stuff that you don't see or know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the mission of the book, I think, was kind of to just shine a light for those that might be struggling with something quietly, Once you start processing that trauma, I think you come out the other side wanting to help other folks, You're like, oh wow, there is an exit, there is hope out there. So I kind of want to go tell other folks.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I had a gut feeling that you would be the perfect person to kick off the artwork, and you didn't let me down, man. So
appreciate it.
Yeah. I think it's a fitting first piece. And tell me a little bit about how did you go about creating that?
So I had a couple ideas that I played around with. I sketched them out, in pencil. And my daughter, she draws pretty well too. So I asked her which one did she like the best.
Nice.
So when she picked, I had one that had that had like some hands, and then a face, like a giant face, but they didn't really speak like I wanted it to. It was more, it was more of a try. This image that I picked was more of it. It kind of came natural, and then she helped me with. So I did it digitally on the iPad.
Nice.
So I ended up scanning what I drew and then kind of working it up from there on the iPad.
Nice.
And
what do you use on the iPad?
It's iCreate.
iCreate. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
it's simple.
Do you have a pen with the iPad?
Yes, sir.
Nice. That makes it look nice.
And so you can buy different tips, and the tips give you different like feels. So it can feel like an actual pencil, or it can feel like you're writing on actual paper.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I played around with a lot of the different tips and a lot of the different media that you can use on the app.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's not as comfortable as I would like. I'm not as comfortable with it as I would like, but
I've been pen
working. Yeah, but I'm working on it. Getting a little more into the digital art.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you could never fully mimic those tools, the real tools, right?
Right. Yeah. I got to have the feel. Really, I like a pencil in my hand.
Yeah. Same here. Well, that's cool. You got to kind of collaborate with your daughter on this one.
Yeah. She's pretty good, man. I talked to her about going to SCAD, but she didn't want it. She said, I don't want to waste money if I don't know what I want to do.
She's wise.
Yeah, so she wasn't too sure what field she wanted to go in. So she's actually she taught herself to tattoo.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, man.
Nice.
And she's actually pretty good, man. I let her practice on me a little bit, and she's not bad. She's not bad to be.
How old is she?
20.
Okay. Nice.
So to be self-taught and to kind of just jump into it, me and her mom, we bought her a gun. So she just jumped right into it and started tattooing herself.
There you go.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah, that's kind of where a lot of the visually directed students that I was friends with ended up tattooing. So a lot of them we know, even Oscar and
Steve Martin.
Yeah, Steve Martin and Oscar Medina and Will Whittington. Yep. Oh, man, I wish Will was here. He'd be stoked to see you.
Oh, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I popped in to see him a few years ago when I was headed back to North Carolina for a minute.
Okay, he's still living, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody but Oscar.
Do you remember Adria Hawkins?
Oh, Dre. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she passed away.
I heard about that, man. I was good friends with her on Facebook and was heartbroken about that, man.
Yeah. It sucks, man. Life be lifing.
Life be lifing, dude, and it'd be lifing to the brightest lights.
Yeah.
Dre might have the only smile that rivals yours.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking, man. But yeah, so I was gonna say, have you checked out the book yet?
I have not, but I am gonna. So I had a car wreck and my finances and my mobility have been jacked up since, but
totally understandable, man.
Gonna.
Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it.
No. I want to purchase it.
It's all good, dude. But what I was going to say,
go ahead.
Yeah.
I want to support, what I mean? I want to actually buy my own coffee,
For sure. I appreciate that, man. What you're going to trip out about when you see it is Joel's piece. There's 2 chapters that are kind of adjoined. You did the beginning of the end. Joel did the end of the beginning. So when you see, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but when you see his artwork, it's going to trip you out.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of like brother chapters, and the artwork really complements each other. It's almost eerie how you guys were right in the same zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just did a podcast with him recently. He says, "What's up?" Give him a shout.
What's up? He's got some family around here, and he came to see me one year around Thanksgiving.
Nice.
Yeah. We all need people. I'm gonna try to get up with y'all here soon so I can see everybody.
For sure, yeah. I was trying to gather everybody to go. I'm going to actually do a book reading at Ex Libris in Savannah
Okay.
in October.
Okay.
So maybe we could all meet up there.
Yep.
We'll be in your neck of the woods.
Yep.
I wanted to read this little excerpt from the back of your book, right?
Okay.
To bring it back to Year Minus and your book. By the way, where can people find Year Minus right now?
So you can contact me, and I can get you a copy. Maybe my email. You send me an email, Cedric Hunter 07@gmail.com.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah. But eventually, probably later this year, it'll be available everywhere. Barnes and Noble.
Nice.
So
I was going to read a little bit about Cedric and about the author. And Cedric Hunter, H.M. Hunter, is a native of upstate South Carolina. There he works locally, but in his spare time he indulges in the creative arts. When Cedric is not working or spending time with his family and kids, he is perfecting his craft of writing works like this debut, Year Minus. As a former student of SCAD, he has always shown an aptitude for all things creative, but has a knack for drawing and writing stories that paint fantastic landscapes in your mind. In Year Minus, Cedric writes with biblical inspiration, but with a twist beyond your imagination. So it's a great last log line there. I love that last line. And in Year Minus, Cedric writes with biblical inspiration, but with a twist beyond your imagination. So let's talk about that. Well, first of all, I guess this is probably a rhetorical question, but what made you want to have the biblical inspiration in the story?
So, all my life I've been raised in church, but as you grow, you find your own way. You find your own path. You quit. Well, most of us, we question our parents. What they try to show us and teach us.
If you're doing it right.
And a lot of that, going to church and listening to what was being taught, and it just made me want to search for truth. I felt like I wasn't getting it all.
Yeah, right.
So I started reading all kinds of religions, Islam, Buddhism, Judaism. What do everybody believe? Jehovah's Witness,
Yeah, same here.
I wanted to know it all. Yeah, just trying to find out truth, So, you go down some rabbit holes on YouTube and TikTok, and then, going to Amazon and then ordering books, reading the books, and trying to wrap your head around what is life, what is existence, who am I, who are we, what are we here for? All these questions kind of culminate, and this story is kind of just my view on the way things came to be about. That's about the best way I could put it. It's trying to contain a creation story where everything is relevant,
That's beautiful. Yeah. These are the origin stories that you're mentioning. I mean, these are ancient stories, right? And that have gripped mankind for thousands of years.
And, a lot of people are, getting into the ice wall and lands beyond the ice wall. Everybody's heard of the Illuminati and fallen angels. Just how is any of that true? How does it work? If it is true, where do we fit in all of that?
For sure. I mean, fascinating stories regardless. And that's what's interesting about the Bible in general is it's a wild story in itself. So
it is.
I love that you kind of made it even more wild with these characters, with Lux. And so, yeah, let's talk about how you came about this particular world. Like, what was your world building experience like?
I didn't want it to be, so I stopped watching a lot of the anime I was watching at the time because I didn't want it to be derivative. I didn't want it to be, people like, oh, well, that's the same thing as One Piece, or that's the same, So I kind of shielded myself from a lot of literary
I do the same thing.
Influences. Yeah, yeah. I wanted it to be original. So other than that, I kind of let it I kind of let it be itself. I started with an idea and then just thought, pulling from imagination, things I've seen, movies I've seen, dreams, just trying to think, what would this be like? Try to really put myself in the position, and that can be hard, and sometimes you forget somebody that's reading doesn't know. It's in my head, not in everybody's head.
Right.
So having to relay it, to where people don't get confused on what you're trying to say, keep your continuity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's really the hardest part. Was, I've got it in my head, but how do I put it on paper, to where people can understand it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That is the art of writing, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that we can do this in general, I think. I've been kind of getting into ancient writing in general, like how writing began, and, the tablets of Samaria in the beginning, when like little clay tablets were basically receipts. Even back in the day, they were trying to just like keep track of their money.
You
know, which then evolves into kind of hieroglyphs. And it's what's really interesting is what jumps the giant leaps for literature in general. Hieroglyphs that can tell a whole story from a picture, and obviously creating alphabets, and then the vast different variations of the alphabet, and then eventually comes paper. And one of my favorite fun facts that I've recently learned is, like, did you know the Chinese hid their secret for paper making for like 600 years?
Wow, I did not.
Well, people are trying to penetrate their process for hundreds of years, and it just blows my mind that a culture could keep a secret in general. What the funny thing is like, I believe that how the secret got let out is two drunk guards that were penetrated, that just like ended up just telling the story after hundreds of years. But what was interesting was, along the Nile, they had developed papyrus, and their sheets were basically strips of papyrus that were then pressed. And so they had a bit of a rough sheen to them. And the Chinese secret was they would take this stone and smooth the surface out with it, and kind of like sand the surface to make this easy to write on, beautiful paper. Yeah. But then it kind of takes you through the printing press. And once there's a printing press, everything blows up, right?
Yeah.
Before that,
because that's like mass. You can mass produce, right?
You can mass produce at that point, and propaganda is going to start exploding, and they can control the message with the printing press. But I think what fascinates me the most is the age of the scribe, when these people are writing maybe a page in a day, and writing on parchment, which takes well over 100 goats that are skinned to make a book.
Wow.
Just one book. So in the day, a book was worth more than someone's home.
Yeah.
And so these scribes would sit for years to copy texts. And even today, you look at the script, and it's just ridiculously perfect and ornate. And it just kind of fascinates me. Recently, I actually just picked up, I find these like hawk feathers in the yard, so I'll try to make a quill out of them. Yeah. And been trying to practice my script a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you do any calligraphy?
That's what I'm working on. I'm just kind of, at this point in time, I'm just kind of trying to remind myself how to write cursive and the flow of cursive, which I think is a good warm up to that. But these art forms are lifelong. The people that are really, really good at calligraphy are just doing it.
They make it look easy.
They make it look so easy.
Yeah. Or writing kanji, like Japanese, Chinese script. They make it look so easy, but I guess you would have to learn the language. I guess that's why it's easy to them.
I'm pretty fascinated by a lot of things Japanese. Back to the anime and their artwork in general, film, and the writing is so beautiful. It's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah, it is.
Even just like one little accent means a totally different thing.
Right. Right. I think it's cool too that like it's a pictogram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
So for tree, it'll have the image for tree, but forest is like a bunch of little trees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's cool. I wish English was a little more direct like that. You know?
Yeah, for real. Yeah. People say English is one of the easiest languages. I don't know a lot of languages, and I can barely speak this one, but I've always wanted to learn Japanese and or Chinese.
It has a lot of emotion, you know.
Even with anime, the Japanese anime that like children get exposed to ultra violence at a young age, it's just kind of nothing to them. It's normal in the art form.
Yeah.
You know, like things that get aired in Japan would most definitely, you know, be an R rating here. In America. One of my favorite Japanese things is kintsugi. Have you heard of kintsugi? If you break, let's say, a piece of pottery, kintsugi is the art form of using gold to repair your cup. And it's this philosophy that goes behind it that a broken thing isn't trash. It's actually more beautiful and now has a story behind it.
Okay.
So when you see the cracks, that kind of represents a part of the dish's history, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I tried this recently with somebody shipped me this beautiful kind of glass container, and it got broken in the shipment right when I was learning about this. So I gave it a try.
Yeah.
Obviously not with gold.
Yeah. So do you break the piece on purpose, or you do it once a piece breaks?
Once a piece breaks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Very contrary to American culture of, you know.
Yeah. Once it's broke, it's trash.
And products designed to break in a year.
Yeah. We need you to buy more.
Yep. Yeah. My phone is not that old, and it's about that time already. It's just like starting to die and starting to get, I was just thinking, really? I was going to keep this one forever, but they make it to the point where you can't, you know?
Yeah.
Don't get me started. Yeah, I kind of touch on kintsugi in the book, and there's a lot of really beautiful Japanese concepts in general. I know they have hundreds of words for snow. That's where my dog's name came from, actually. Her name is Sakura Fubuki, and Sakura is the cherry blossom, and Fubuki is the snowstorm. And I think it's in March that the Japanese have the cherry blossom festival, and all the cherry blossoms bloom. And so there's all these beautiful concepts, and Sakura Fubuki is a cherry blossom snowstorm. It's the phenomenon of when the petals from that drop from the trees get whipped up by the wind and kind of look like a snowstorm tornado.
Yeah.
I think there's an anime character too, someone told me, that's named Sakura Fubuki.
Yes, I'm sure it is. I'm trying to think. The only one I can think of is Naruto, Sakura from Naruto.
Is that?
But
is she from Naruto?
They do. Yeah, but they do a lot of they hint to her name and use and use what you just said, the imagery of the snow.
Oh, yep. I bet her last name is Fubuki. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also, Murakami. Do you like Princess Mononoke? Have you seen Princess Mononoke?
Yes. Yeah. Studio Ghibli. I've seen almost all of those. Totoro, my neighbor Totoro. Spirited Away is probably my favorite.
I was going to ask what your favorite was. Yeah.
Yeah, probably Spirited Away, and maybe Ponyo.
Ponyo's cool.
Ponyo is very playful, you know.
Yeah. I would have to put, is it Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd have to throw that one up there. And Howl's Moving Castle.
Howl is good. Howl is good. They definitely bring out the kid, you know, in people, you know.
Literally, my friend. Actually, funny story about Ghibli bringing out the kid. Brina was 9 months pregnant.
Yeah.
It was the night she was due. Murakami had just released The Boy and the Heron.
Yeah.
And it was in theaters. I was thinking, this is probably the last movie I'm going to get to see for a while, so let's go see a film. And sure enough, we go to see this film, and it just blows me away. It's a masterpiece of his for sure. And she went into labor that night. He brought out the kid.
So what's your baby's name?
Hawkins. And it wasn't until you reminded me of Dre's last name, Andrea Hawkins, that I'm so stoked that I accidentally named him the same name as her, because what a light. And that's cool. Yeah.
You just got the one?
Yep. Just one so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's cool. He's 1.5 now, so he's just now starting to say a couple of words together, you know?
Yeah.
It's amazing watching that go from just sounds to kind of, maybe he's saying a word, maybe he's not, just kind of gibberish.
It's like, so you knew what I've been saying all this time. You just
Yeah, that's the amazing thing. They do know what you're saying, whether they can speak or not. They know what you're saying.
That's right. They definitely they know concepts before they know words.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just learned. I think it's his first sentence or sentence fragment, which is up, dada.
Okay.
Pick me up.
Okay.
Dada. Yeah. Up, dada. Yeah, what an adventure, man. What an adventure. I'll be honest, though. I didn't think I was going to make it through the first year.
Yeah. It
was brutal.
It's that feeling will probably come back around.
Oh, you think so? Great. Awesome.
Yeah. But you're going to make it.
When does it come back around? I need to know this.
So it depends on the child,
Okay.
You might, he may not give you no trouble,
If it's my child, I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that. But if you're listening in the future, Hawk, don't give me any trouble.
That's right. Treat your daddy right.
Yeah, man, what a blessing. We were lucky to have that little guy come along eventually. So yeah, trying to get him turned on to the arts and music. Man, he loves music. It's ridiculous.
Good.
Like,
yeah.
I wonder if all kids are like that, but he kind of. I mean, I was singing to him in the womb, and I was drumming on her tummy, and he was giving us some signals. I wonder if he might be a drummer.
Yep.
And he we went. Do you remember Incubus, the band?
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to see them when she was also 9 months pregnant. That's another story. But she didn't want to cancel the tickets, and we went to the Hollywood Bowl to check that out. And sure enough, she said it was the first time he like really started kicking and punching. Like, she's like, he's drumming on my womb right now. It was really cool. It's really cool. So I think he's got music in his blood for sure.
Good. Yeah, keep them immersed in all of that.
So kind of circling it back to kids and children and the arts, your piece for the book is also pretty playful. And I love how you interpreted that. It almost gave me a sense of, wow, he gets it, which is a difficult chapter to find imagery like that for, But when I saw it, I was like, of course, it almost even gave me inner strength. So where did you come up with that idea? Because it took me a minute. Right. It took me a minute to see what was going on, because I love the perspective that you put on it. Right.
Yeah.
And then I got to see the wings, and I was lit. I was lit up.
Yeah. I wanted it to be positive. I kept seeing kind of like the flying above the world, flying above everything, being at peace. That's kind of the sentiment I was trying to give. The world is still very material, but there's still a spiritual aspect to it. And sometimes the materialism can weigh on us and keep us like heavy, but there's always positive outlooks on the horizon.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful, and I need that right now.
Sometimes they seem far away, unreachable, but you got to kind of keep that faith that you're gonna come out on the other side.
Yeah, so I couldn't think of a better way to not just capture that chapter, because it sets the tone for the rest of the book. The fact that you took that positive direction in the artwork for me alone, because for me, I was I was tripping about what the first image would be.
Yeah.
And so it meant so much after having written the book for 5 years and then decided to put the whole process of, I was actually looking at your book at the time and thinking, wow, this illustrator didn't put any images in this first book. How lovely. I was like, that's awesome. Because when you've spent so long crafting the words, then the images kind of become an interruption, or even it was a lot for me to step out of my comfort zone and pass this off to 33 different artists, knowing, well, that's 33 different styles, 33 different perspectives. And so your piece put me at ease because I think it really set the tone for what was coming for the rest of the book. It might put you on this level with the story where it's a dark chapter immediately, but you hinted the light, which I was also subtly hinting that would be at the end of the book.
Right. I didn't want it to be doom and gloom from the jump,
Yep.
I didn't really see it that way, and I don't want the reader to go in seeing it that way,
Yep. Same. That was kind of the perspective of the book and the challenge of the book. I want to share these sacred moments with people, which is a vulnerable situation to be in regardless. But at the same time, how do you keep people interested and not drag them down? I think that's where the humor comes in, and your piece nailed the humor as well. It kind of, it accompanies that first chapter and has a bit of a flavor to it, I think.
I'm glad that I was worried about you liking it. People who can't draw or do art, they ask for art, a lot of the times they don't know what they're asking for. They don't know what they really want. So you have to do, 3 or 4 iterations before they're like, oh yeah, man, that's what I mean, man, right there, So, artist to artist, I was worried about what you were expecting and what you were, and I was like, well, if he don't like this, he can hit me back and I'll do something else,
Yeah.
But I'm glad you were pleased.
Yeah, that was a mission for me in general. I think it's a mission in my artwork and perspective about life and things in general is, it came from probably the video editing room where there's trillion different ways where you can do all of these different things. It's probably like opening up your iPad and having all of these different selections for what kind of pen and what thickness of the pen to use, what color of the pen to use. And this feeling of kind of like never settling, never being satisfied with something. It was something I was not going to go through with this artwork. There's a reason why I chose everyone. All 33 people are extremely talented in what they do. Once you start making movies and directing people around, you realize that the smartest director listens to those around him and trusts the people that he's put on the film.
Yeah.
It was never difficult. That was the surprising part, was there was not a lot of back and forth with anyone. Everybody's piece came back nailing it, which was, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody did a really great job. So yeah, brother, thank you so much for taking the time to do that.
Thank you. Thank you for thinking of me,
Yeah, it made the book to have you on board so we could reconnect and get your beautiful artwork out there in the world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what do you go by? What, Robert Eujean?
You haven't read the book, have you?
I said, man, I don't even know his name. I just been calling him Tigger.
Yeah, there you go. I was waiting for somebody to say that. I haven't had any Savannah folks on yet. That was the whole decision of the book as well. Whether to drop my mini monikers throughout the book, which I found was just going to be confusing for folks, because even one of those, you got to tell the backstory, you got to tell the whole thing behind it. Characters, beautiful things I love that you want to put in the book that just, how it goes. It takes up pages. And so,
right.
I guess today I'm still Robert,
okay.
But
what
in this moment, I'm Tig.
What does the girl call you?
Yeah, she calls me Robert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are y'all married?
We're engaged.
Okay.
We're in the long engagement.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't want to call her your girl if y'all were married, you know.
Yeah, she's my girl. She's my girl forever.
Okay.
Okay. We're still engaged. Believe it or not, this book and the kid had to come first.
Yeah.
You know.
She don't call you Bobby or nothing like that.
Have you read the book? Are you just fucking with me?
I'm just fucking with you.
You must have read the book, dude.
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, you're gonna crack up. You're gonna crack up when you when you read it.
Okay.
I don't want to ruin it for you or the readers, but I've gotten a lot of folks.
I figured, she might have a little pet name for you,
No, believe it or not, she's I'm gonna say she's Asian, and I don't want to generalize. I don't know how many Asians out there have pet names for each other, but she's very practical.
She want to call you by your name.
Yeah. She called me Robert.
Okay, that's cool.
But if I'm being honest, I don't think she's ever called me by my name. She called me baby.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a good nickname.
I was thinking about that. I've mentioned that to her before, actually. I say her name all the time. She doesn't ever say my name.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Well, that means, y'all close.
We are.
We're
very, very close. Best of friends. Thick as thieves. And I'm debating about when to put her on in the show. Uh-oh. I'm glad you mentioned this. Oh, shit. We have an anniversary.
Uh-oh.
Yep. In just 7 days. I'm glad you put me on that. Yeah, I think this is
don't forget that.
It's going to be 13. 13 years
nice.
This year. Yeah. Feels good. I'm a lucky man. For sure.
Yeah.
I hope you get to meet her someday.
Oh, yeah.
She's cool. She designs for a company called Decine, and they do kind of surfboard outdoor gear.
Ooh.
Yeah, surfboard, snowboard stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really fortunate in that her whole crew is cool and the company is cool and the stuff she does is cool. So she's enjoying her job for now. All right, my friend. It's been really good hanging out, talking again.
Yeah, it's good to see you, man. Good to, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. All right, brother. REO gotta go. Buy the book at eclipseofthemorningstar.com or abbreviated EOTMS.com.